All right, welcome to the Inside the Wave podcast, where we have super weird conversations before the podcast starts, but I love it every single time. I am here with Chandler Lewis, and we're on our second episode of our 4-part series talking about kids as they grow up through athletic programs and how to approach working with them as parents and coaches, but how to how to approach competition, which yourself as a swim club owner and a sports psychologist seems to be right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Right. So if you didn't catch our intros earlier, I'm Perry. I'm the owner of Utopia Martial Arts. We're a martial arts school in Grafton. We have about 200 kids in our program. Chandler, you want to talk about your non-jiu-jitsu club?
I own and coach at the Schroeder Swim Team, and then also I'm a CMPC, or Certified Mental Performance Consultant, for Championship Mind, which is a consultant business for sports psychology.
Let's talk about Schroeder and its kind of claim to fame, right? It's a pretty big club.
Yeah. So Schroeder was built in 1982, I believe.
You've been running it for that long.
Yeah. No,
you don't look like a day over. How old are you? Probably 28.
Yeah, I'm 29.
That was close. 10 years younger than me.
Very close. But it was built in 1982, and it was like at that time it was world renowned, where it was the first 50-meter pool, and especially in this region. But there were similar around the country. Like University of Minnesota took the template of Schroeder and built their now
awesome
big pool, and it has held U.S. Nationals, juniors, collegiate NCAA championships. There's been world records set at the pool. Yeah. And it's been a kind of a staple in the swimming community. Man, like I get anytime I go throughout the country, they're like, Schroeder, oh, I swam there.
Yeah,
and
it's
like a very staple in our community.
I remember even growing up, like when I was we were talking about on the last episode how we both did swim lessons at Cedarburg Pool. But I remember the kids at Cedarburg Pool being like, I go to Schroeder.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like it is that like prestigious, right? You do everything from like 5-year-olds to Olympic hopefuls.
Yes.
What age do you guys typically stop?
Honestly, we have our competition program where like we'll have post-grads. Okay. Currently right now, and this is interesting, is we have a college athlete that swam at University of Wisconsin. He was going into college. He was the fastest recruit in the 100 backstroke in his class. He made the Pan American team. Sir Mech won.
All thanks to your coaching.
A combination of a lot of efforts, but he goes to Wisconsin.
Okay.
He does well, but not at the level that we all knew that he could.
Yeah.
He ended up. They got a new coach. He ended up transferring, going through the transfer portal, and he settled on swimming at University of Wisconsin Milwaukee.
Okay.
However, he's going to train with us.
Oh, interesting.
Which is a very not normal thing.
Yeah.
He already will have school records. He will go to NCAA championships. So for the school standpoint, really big opportunity.
Yeah.
But he feels connected to the Schroeder program being his best place to train, which I think just shows what we provide for athletes. And not saying that we're the best coaches, but I think that we provide a lot for high school and postgraduates. Eventually the goal, and it has always been the goal, is being able to host and have postgraduate athletes that are competing for Olympics. And there could be a hub in this area for professional type swimming.
It's such a cool mission you guys are on.
Yeah.
And I know we're not talking about that age group today, like the high school and beyond, which is going to be a really fun podcast. Yeah. I'm excited for that one. But today we're talking about 7 to 10-year-olds, right? That like golden age of motor learning skills, like such cool stuff starts happening with competition in that age group. Yep. You know, myself watching jiu-jitsu, it's like, that's where kids' jiu-jitsu starts looking good.
Yep.
Right? Like they start looking like little athletes at that age. 5 and 6 was fun, right? That was our last podcast. It's like getting their toes wet in competition, getting them used to sport. But 7 to 10, that's where a lot of like magic happens. So we're going to follow the same format that we did last time, where we start talking about the developmental stages of the kids these age, right? Pies, the athletic development, and then how those two end up being the building blocks to approaching competition, how to approach competition, and a lot of practical tips for parents and coaches to take home if you're a parent of kids these ages 7 to 10, or if you're a coach for kids ages 7 to 10.
Right.
So let's talk ages of development. And I break this down smaller because this is kind of what we do at our academy, but I did 7 to 8 year olds and 9 to 10. Even though we're clumping these together from a competition standpoint, physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially, that's our pies. There's a huge difference between a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old. And we need to remember, these are all based on like a curve, right? Some kids might be very well physically above the curve, right? Above average, and they might be behind emotionally. And understanding these building blocks is important because you as a coach, coaching that athlete is going to be much different. And we might need to focus on different things and different strategies, right? If we're able to work with a kid who's 7, but we identify that physically they're 9, maybe intellectually they're 9, but emotionally and socially they're still 7, or maybe even 6, right? Yeah. It's totally different. So let's talk about physical. 7 and 8 year olds, weak, fine motor control. They still stumble in very dynamic moves. Their technique can be shaky, but typically only gets shaky when they start pushing it, right? So in controlled environments, they do really well, but when they're trying to go fast, their technique starts failing. Yeah. I'm going to use the golf analogy, right? When I learned how to golf, just crush the ball, swing that club as fast as possible, right? All your technique goes away.
Yeah.
So and that's probably the age I was golfing at, right? So that's a big thing that we need to focus on for 7 and 8. 9 to 10, that technique starts getting even more solid, right? The agility gets solid. The problem is sometimes they start getting lazy.
Yeah.
Right. So they're good. They're just not trying that hard because they're like, well, why should I? Right. And that does lead to sloppy basics. What do you see in the pool? And your athletic trainer, you guys do pool and, land training as well. But physically from kids these ages, what are you seeing?
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously a big difference between 7 and 10 year olds, but 7, 8 year olds, I feel, are starting to understand the sport differently, mechanically.
Yeah.
You can start talking to a 7, 8 year old technically a little bit more.
Yeah. It's not, it's not just about who's trying harder, right? When you're younger, sometimes it's just who tries harder and goes literally moves their body the fastest is going to win. But they could start realizing technique matters.
Yeah. And they have a greater understanding of technique. By the time, I believe that if the kid was on some team at 5 and 6 and now they're progressing to 7, 8, they've obviously, for us, they've switched groups. So they went from the pre-swim team or the introduction to swim team into, okay, now you're in we call it Schroeder Stars or Superstars, or that's a progression in groups. So they're in the water longer, practice is longer.
Because they're strong, they're strong enough for it, right? Little kids, they just don't have enough caloric expenditure and strength to be at practice that long. And when you're not at practice that long and you don't have that attention span, you can't develop as much technique.
Right.
So that's freeing to you as a coach.
Yeah.
Awesome. What else are you seeing?
Well, I think for us, it's that now begins the formalization of practice.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into some practice that's every day. This is what we do. We start off like this. And then we go into our warm-up, and then we're going to work on these skills, and maybe today is this type of day. It's practice isn't as random or there's a little bit more time spent on the formalization of not training, but practice.
It's a little bit more disciplined.
Yes, more disciplined. They're introducing bigger skills, harder skills, technical skills, and then kids are racing more often. Yeah. So we need to have an understanding of racing and how that works. And at 5 and 6, you're just trying to introduce those. They're intellectually, they're completely different.
Yeah. Which brings us to intellectual, right? 7 and 8, very smart.
Yes.
They are sponges. They are sponges that are easily distracted.
Yep.
right?
For sure.
They can often overthink, and sometimes they forget the simplest of things, which is challenging.
Yeah.
Right? 9 to 10, they finally start developing some critical thinking. Their decision making isn't the fastest, right? They can make decisions, but it takes a while to do it. I don't know if that shows up in the pool. Definitely shows up in jiu-jitsu match. Like if you're slow at making a decision, the other person just took you down. And the other intellectual challenge for 9 to 10 is they'll start prioritizing effort.
Yeah.
They'll pick the easy way sometimes, not the way that's going to require more effort. And when you're in practice and you try to cheat at doing the easy way, you don't develop the way that you should.
Yeah.
How's that show up in the pool for you?
I think the big intellectual change for us, especially from 5 to 6 to 7 and 8, is like obviously you're introducing the technical and tactical things within race strategy.
Yeah.
But 7 to 8 to 9 and 10, 9 and 10-year-olds will be able to formulate a race plan, execute a race plan, and then review that race plan after the race.
Let's talk about, because I don't even know. I mean, I can guess what a race plan is, but like, what is an example of a race plan?
So like, for example, let's say I'm swimming 100 backstroke. A race plan could be something like, I'm going to get out fast and relax.
Okay.
I'm going to try to make a move on the third 25, and then I'm going to maintain 4 dolphin kicks off each wall. That's a very basic race plan, and a 9 and 10-year-old can spit that out.
Yeah.
They can formulate that on their own. They might need they will need some support. Like, hey, what's our race plan? I'm not really sure. And then you can spit it back, and they'll accept it, and they'll try to execute it. And then afterwards, they will be able to come back and say, I didn't go out fast enough. I need to make sure that I go attack the first 25 better. 9 and 10-year-olds can do that. 7 and 8-year-olds are not there yet. They might they might say something like, it didn't feel fast or whatever. But it's not. 9 and 10 is a big learning group.
And same thing for us. Like 7 and 8, they know a bunch of techniques. They don't know how to necessarily assemble them.
Yeah. And like the post-race review with a 9 and 10-year-old is going to be completely different between a 7 and 8-year-old. 7 and 8-year-olds can be like, nice job, high five.
Yep.
Walk away. 9 and 10-year-old, there might be some emotion mixed in it now. And now you got to walk. Well, why didn't that work well? Well, let's talk through it. Yeah. There's going to be some, like the communication piece is much bigger.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big change. And similarly with practice too. 9 and 10-year-olds are starting to, quote unquote, train. In our program, we value technically, but there's coaches out there in the swimming world where they believe now's the time to throw in the aerobic base and develop the aerobic base before puberty. Yeah. And there's not like my experience as an athlete at 10 years old, I was swimming 5 to 6 times a week for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And training.
Yeah.
We try to limit that. There is some exposure to like, we're going to do some repeats. We're going to stay on intervals.
Yep.
Like you can start developing that at 9, 10. At 8, we're not doing intervals.
So when a kid goes to a swim meet, and just general question from my knowledge, do they know how many races they're going to have to do?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of predictable on how much. The challenge in jiu-jitsu is like when you go to a tournament, if you're in a division with 3 or you're in a division with 10, you don't know what your aerobic base needs to be, right?
Yeah.
You also don't know because matches are a variable amount of time, maybe for that age group, like 3 minutes. But if you win right away, you don't have to do all 3 minutes.
Right.
So if you have 5 minutes, but all 5 matches go the distance, like your aerobic base needs to be a lot better. Right. Yeah. So like you probably really only need to get them to like minimal viable aerobic base.
Yeah. And I think the idea of training a 9 and 10-year-old,
they don't have to be workhorses, right?
There's no way that you're like, oh, we're developing speed for this 10-year-old. But there's coaches that think that way, and parents 150%, where it's like this idea of developing bases and speed, and they need to train more. But that's a big change. Is like the 7 to 8-year-old group, we are not training. We're not. Maybe there's some intervals.
Yeah.
But like at the 9-10 group, they're gonna get introduced into intervals, and like we're gonna mix it up with different type of volumes and it's definitely an increase in like the intellectual side of like knowing how practice and training works.
We, it's more on the physical side, but like that is the age where, at least in my competition class, because we have 2 classes for kids at our academy, right? We have our Explorers program, which is really for someone to truly explore Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, learn the self-defense side of it. But then we have a competition side where we take the martial art and do the sport side of the martial art. And in my advanced competition class, like that's when we'll start doing some like workouts at that age, but they're all like competitive fun workouts that the kids like. It's not like, hey, we're not just going to run wind sprints, right? Try to hide them at least a little bit through games like relay races and stuff like that. Like there's other ways to build that aerobic base that's not just laps.
Definitely not. And I don't think that it's the correct way of long-term
man. And if you do that, it brings us to the next one. It's like the emotional stages of development. Again, much different between these 2 age groups. 7 and 8 year olds, compared to the younger ages, they're a lot more emotionally stable. They are starting to learn how to communicate their emotions, but they also, because of where they're at socially, they'll sometimes develop big emotions when they're put on the spot. 9 to 10, a lot of their motivation that we need to work around is like just motivational swings, like high motivation, low motivation, and they're very motivated by their peers and what their peers think. What do you notice as a sports psychologist? Because this is kind of like your sweet spot, right?
I think this is when emotions start playing into, especially competition. Like
it could be huge. Like that's why you win or lose, right?
You can go to any swim meet throughout the country. Doesn't matter what the level is. If you go to a 9 and 10, even 7 or 8 year old swim meet, you will see crying.
Oh yeah,
big time.
Yeah,
like you will see enormous amount of crying.
And is it just when kids lose, or is it like the pre-competition jitter cries too?
I think it's a combination of things. Obviously, there's kids that are nervous to compete. That's definitely a thing. Normally, though, the crying, especially at 9 and 10, are going to be, I wanted to go at best time, I didn't go at best time. Or I wanted to beat this person, I want to get this result, and I didn't get it. And it's like I think it's the first initial stages into like competing at a higher level. It's not high. Like we'll look at it and be like, that's not higher level, but it is for them. It's a jump. Now they might go to state competitions. They might be racing kids within the state of Wisconsin that are outside of our region. There's definitely, like, we have introductions to, we call them zone competitions, which is like, all right, we're going to go compete against Michigan, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like that introduction starts at 9 and 10, which can lead into pressure, expectation, anxiety, which leads to the crying, the frustration. And that's probably parental forced. But it is a thing where it's like kids want to go fast and get better. And when they don't see their time dropping, they think it's a direct correlation into who they are. And as a coach at this time, you play a big factor in how they regulate their emotions.
And the big thing is, parents out there, like, you need to realize that this is like, we go into it knowing that this is a thing. Like, it's expected. So parents of, kids these ages, if your kid is crying because they lost, as expected, right? The kids that are in the higher percentile here, they've already learned how to deal with those and to leverage them. And nothing that we're saying is like good or bad on all these. They're just facts, right? And I think that's why we're doing this podcast, is so parents know, like, what is expected and how do we help develop that kid to be even better. Right. We want every kid to be above the curve. Right. We don't want just the average B students. We want to take all those B students and try to make them A students in every single subject. Right. And we also need to realize that every kid is going to be different in different areas. Right. You might have a physical developed child who's incredibly bright. Right. Very great technique, because they've learned it intellectually, but they don't have the stamina or physical development to do a long distance of it.
Right.
You might have a kid that's really smart, really intellectual, not good at competition because their emotional is behind.
Yes.
Right. And these are just all things. Nothing's good. Nothing's bad. These end up just like winning and losing in competition. Both can be a superpower if you use it right.
Yeah.
It's funny. This month at our academy, we talk about a different word of the month every month, and it's humility, which we define as the kids as the superpower in understanding your strengths and your weaknesses. Right. Like,
that's good.
It's so important. And that's my message to the parents here. It's like, you just need to know where your kid's at.
Yeah.
Nothing's good. Nothing's bad. It is what it is. And we just want to make it better.
Right.
Social side,
Yeah.
man, these ages, they love interaction, very loud if they even think something may be unfair.
100%.
Right? Like, their peers drive their effort. You know, this is a time where kids might start switching sports because it's the sports that their friends do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure this might be a sport because swimming and jiu-jitsu is interesting because it's not in the school with all of their 25 peers in their homeroom class.
Yep.
Right? So quite often, we get kids that go to other sports because they want that peer approval of like, oh, that's what my other friends in school do. But again, it's a superpower as a team, right? If you get your team all rowing the boat in the same direction, that peer approval is even better.
Yeah.
The other challenge socially is the kids might hold back if they're feeling socially uncomfortable, right? What do you see socially?
A lot
on your team, because
you
you have a big team and you have a very diverse team as well.
A lot of comparison for sure. Like that, this at 9 and 10, kids are comparing each other, but they do. I think they naturally want to work with each other. I think this is a great time where you develop like that teammate type of mentality, because they naturally are gravitating towards each other.
Yeah.
Like they can start recognizing, oh, like I'm bigger. This is a bigger ecosystem than just me. It's my team, and we do a lot of like introduction to cheers with 9 and 10.
Yeah. So, swimming, individual sport primarily, right? There's a team aspect to it.
Yeah.
But how do you guys develop kids socially being in reality an individual sport?
Yeah. I mean, they have to work together on relays. We have a thing called the Schroeder Way, which is team first, act with integrity, expect success, which is it's called the Schroeder Way.
Yeah.
And at like this 9 and 10 age is the time where we really like, we're developing that.
Yeah.
But we try to get the kids to like do that on their own where they're setting the standard with each other. And part of that is like when you're on a relay, like you're working as a group for a combined effort.
Yeah.
We talk about a lot when we put a team banner, like national champions, we never put like, X natural champion. It's Schroeder.
Yeah.
It's like that combined effort.
Yeah.
And more recently, we've been trying to do. I call it Initiative X, which is the idea that trying to get the young kids bought into the idea that you are helping these older kids go to national competitions, and you are part of this Schroeder team.
Yeah.
And at this 9 and 10 age, you can start really kind of like putting in that social awareness of like, you are part of this team.
Yeah.
That means that you act this specific way. We're setting the standard of being great, acting with integrity, expect success, team first. What does that mean in practice? And, I think at that 9 and 10 age, you can really set those values and standards.
Man, I totally agree.
Yeah.
They're just socially developed to this point where like teamwork and culture matters to them.
Yeah.
Even in school, they start getting like their little cliques and stuff like that. But in reality, like these pies and stages of development, they're the foundation of everything that we do,
Yep.
right? We need to understand as coaches, as parents, where our kids are at. And every athlete is, at their own spot. And it's the spot that's perfect for them. Us as coaches is to push them and get them ready for that next level, and hopefully bring up their average as we go. But this is the building blocks for athletic development.
Yes.
And I think at these ages, you can start working on it more. They're not necessarily hitting the weight room yet. They're not doing a lot of like cross training or supplemental training, but we can still do a lot outside of just teaching them how to swim or teaching them how to do a rear naked choke.
Right.
What's your approach of just sheer athletic development for these ages?
I mean, at this point, we're trying to teach land athletes to be water athletes. Like you have to learn on land before you go into water. I think that most coaches in the swimming community think about water specifically.
Yeah.
And they don't think about land. I think more on the side of building land athletes that are also water athletes. Like you got to think you're in a different ecosystem.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you can't build athleticism on land. So like learning how to jump seems easy to teach, and it also seems like, well, you just jump.
Yeah.
But that is a hard skill to really perfect.
I mean, especially when you're talking about jumping in a race, there's reaction time.
Right.
So it's not just like how I'm going to say how hard you could jump, high, far, whatever it might be, but like you need to jump at the right time.
Yeah. But it's like that development can be done on land.
For sure. And probably much higher repetition.
And awareness is bigger at this age. So like I mean, thinking back to when I was a strength coach, like we were coaching kids at 9 and 10.
Yeah.
We were not coaching kids at 7 and 8.
For sure.
Like we're coaching kids now. Yeah. We're teaching kids how to properly move.
This is that age that I think you can start doing like really high level, like detail level, like agility drills and coordination stuff, like ladder drills and jumping rope, which is all like fun stuff for kids to do. That is going to be way more fun than bench press, which they shouldn't be doing at this age anyways.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like trying to trick them to learn athletic development.
Yeah, for sure. But how about as they get older, like verging on like 10 years old, where you can really start developing like body weight strength exercises, like push-ups, squats, wall sits. Dude, the
lunges, walking lunges.
The kids at my gym, have you ever seen like the Sally goes up, Sally goes down workout where like you squat? Like they love that. Yeah. And I'm like, why do you love this so much? It's like literally 5 minutes of like hundreds of squats. Or a deck of cards. They love doing deck of cards. Like doesn't matter what the exercise is, as long as they get to pick their fate, they're okay with it. I'll do other stuff like make them hold a plank. This is one of their favorite ones. They have to hold a plank, like a hand plank. And I ask them random trivia questions. So like ChatGPT, give me 20 trivia questions in whatever various school categories for 10-year-olds that I can ask them. And as they're doing a plank, I ask them the trivia questions. If they get them wrong, they have to do like 3 push-ups. But they love it.
Yeah.
Right? But it's a great age that they can start developing some strength, but body weight.
Yeah.
What else are you guys doing on land as they start getting towards that 10?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is the time where you can teach like hinging, which is hard.
Oh yeah.
One of the things that I think that we do at 10 years old, that the 9 and 10 group that is different than 7 and 8 is, our younger kid coach or age group coach starts doing this thing called Whiteboard Wednesdays.
Ooh.
Which is really good. But you gotta be like, you cannot be 8 years old and sit in this and sit still, because it's gonna be 15 minutes. And we're going to talk about something that could be a goal type of, like we're going to talk about long-term goals or specific process goals. Or like today we're going to talk about what it means like to be a good teammate. Those are like, I think are also land things that we do that translate into like when you're 9 and 10, we're going Whiteboard Wednesdays. What does that mean? Well, you're going to have to write on the note card 3 specific process goals for this month, right? At 7 and 8, they're not doing that. That's hard.
Do you start like when they are 9 and 10? Do you start doing like speed development? Because I know you don't do that too young.
Yeah.
But I think like 9 and 10, they can actually start working on developing.
Yeah.
Like some explosiveness.
Yeah. Definitely.
Awesome. Any other big athletic development things for these age groups? I think they're just getting started. I think we get a lot of parents that want to push the athletic development too far at this age.
That's the issue that I think that we run into is that their parents are more eager to want more and want more and want more.
Yeah.
And you're trying to think about long-term what's the best for the progression.
Yeah.
Because we want them to have more when they turn 11 and 12 and then 13, 14. And it's a mistake if you're pushed too early on.
And there's still, we're going to get into competition next. And they're still like really just truly getting into competition at this age. So you still need to keep it sort of fun. If you take away all that fun and you do just like laps or wind sprints or whatever it might be, like you're going to lose the kids right away.
Training.
Yeah.
If you're training at 9 and 10, that's not the goal.
Yeah.
You're learning. You're having fun. You're doing this for enjoyment.
Yep.
Not for like
it's still
training apps.
Super social.
Yes. Has to be. Yeah.
Man, let's talk about competition.
Yeah.
Because this is where we typically spend most of our time on these. 7 and 8 year olds, they can start following more rules, more structure to competition. They're better they get distracted, but they're better at getting their focus back. And some of them want to like actually test their skills and they want to go out there on their own to do it. I think the ages before, the parents and the coaches are like, hey, let's get you out there. They're encouraged. But at this age, you start getting like, I want to compete. Do you see the same thing?
Yes, definitely. And there's definitely a clear difference though between 7 and 8 and 9 and 10.
For sure.
Like, like 7 and 8 year olds are going to get exposed a little bit more to competition. Now, instead of doing our in-house competition, now they're doing their first meets where they're racing against kids on other teams. That's a big jump.
It's huge.
Because it's like, oh, I'm not racing my buddies. I'm racing this other team.
Here's the thing, right? We part of ecological learning or learning through a game structure is environmental changes, right? And our in-house is the way it is because everyone there, the kids typically know, the kids know the kids there, the kids' parents are there, right? There's not really a true stranger in the room. It's in a place that's familiar to them. It's on the same mats, right? It's the same routine where the kids wash their feet before they get on the mat. It's the referees are people they see around the academy. The second you take that competition and you put it in a different spot.
Yep.
The fact that the pool is different, maybe the walls are a different color, there's different noises, there's a different location, there's the locker room is different, right? People don't realize that even though it's like you're going from like just the competition side of things to a new environment with new people is a huge jump.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to describe how big it is. And it's important as us, as coaches and parents, to make sure that the kids still have a good experience with that.
Totally. And for us too, it's if you're in some team at 5 and 6, even 7, and we have kids that stay in our pre-swim team to like 8 years old, when they're doing the in-house competitions, the referees there are just trying to help them.
Yeah.
When they progress into USA swimming competitions, now they're going to get introduced to, oh, I got disqualified.
Oh, for sure.
That is big. So that's when the crying and emotion.
I mean, even at our in-house, like our referees, like we have 2 coaches or 1 coach at every mat, and the coach coaches both kids.
Right.
In a regular tournament, like I'm not coaching another gym's student, but the referee will sit there and like talk with the kids.
Yes, exactly.
A tournament, that ref is quiet.
Yep. They're going to do their job.
Throwing up points. They're giving out penalties.
Yep.
It's so different.
It's a big change. And that 7 and 8 group, if you progress into that, where now you're doing USA swimming competitions, and it might be 9 for some kids, but that's the big jump. And then similarly with our older kids, the big jump is now it's, the rankings and times and standards where they know exactly, okay, what does 30 seconds in the 50 free mean at my age? Well, that means I'm a AAA swimmer or quadruple A swimmer.
Okay.
That means I make the zone meet. That means I make the state meet. That means I'm at regionals.
Yeah, interesting.
They start really identifying what level of athlete they are. And so that's why the competition has to have values around it with coaches and also as parents. That becomes number one, in my opinion.
Man, and even as they get older, they start understanding, at least in jiu-jitsu, they start understanding the scoring better and like why they won and why they lost, and which adds a whole nother dynamic to it, because sometimes at 7 and 8, like the kids don't necessarily know why they won. In jiu-jitsu, like if you win by submission, they'll typically know like, oh, I tapped that other person out, right? But if there's points at the end, they're like, oh, how did I have more points than them?
Right.
But as they get to that 10-year-old age, they actually understand like the point structure of jiu-jitsu and how points are scored and things like that, which changes the game in jiu-jitsu because you can play the game of points.
Right. I'll say it like this, and I don't think this is unnormal. I remember how fast I went when I was 10.
Really?
I know my times.
Why 10?
And that's when I start recognizing. Okay. I do not remember my times at 9. I have no clue how fast I went at 8.
Yeah.
But I know exactly how fast I went at specific competitions starting at the age of 10. And I think if you were to survey most athletes that went through their career from 10 to 22.
Yeah, like competitors,
This is when, that age, 9 and 10, they start identifying results, like very clearly. And they know, I made zones when I was 10. I got this place when I was 10. I went this time when I was 10. So and that's not unnormal for our sport perspective, is that this is the age, I think naturally through how competition is set up, where we're going to start ranking kids, and we know who the best kid in the state is in this event is.
Yeah.
And as it's probably a coaching thing too, where we play, okay, well, Bobby's getting a little bit more attention at practice. He might be a little bit better than me. And then parents.
Yeah.
Woof, that's when the development of, and I talked about this in my thesis a lot, is like the development of sport specific values really comes into play at 9 and 10. Where it's like you are developing these long-term sport-specific values. So for example, a sport-specific value that I never got over, that I should have gone over, that was developed by a coach, for sure, at the age of 10, was counting every yard that I swam. And I started that at 10. So I would count up, how much volume did we do today at 10? We did 4,000 yards. At 22 years old, I was counting every lap.
Then that's a bad thing to do?
I think the bad thing is that I resulted volume in compared to how much I'm getting done.
Yeah.
We did 6,000 yards. That was a good practice.
Yeah. Okay.
Which in the sport of swimming, there's a very big sport specific value over amount of volume. And that was developed for me at 10 years old. And other kids get those type of values. So it's, best times meet a good race.
Oh, yeah.
You can set sport-specific values early on at executional, controllable things.
Yeah.
As a coach, as a parent, and as an athlete, where it's like, how am I grading myself on performance? Well, I'm grading myself on how well I execute my controllables, how well I prepared, how well I controlled my emotions before a race.
Let's talk about those. So controlling the controllables, because they can 7 to 10, they can actually start doing this.
Yep. Have to.
What are those controllables?
So
sports agnostic. Well, we'll use swimming and martial arts as an example, but
one of the things that we do that I think at this age group is different, and you should start doing, is the introduction to some mental performance tools, and one of them, what I call, is the battle behind the blocks.
Okay.
So it's like you're about to race.
Yep.
You're behind the block.
Yep.
There's going to be a battle that you're trying to win, an internal battle. And then there's going to be a battle in the water when you dive in the water. But we talk about the idea of power posing, utilizing your breath. That's a controllable thing. Visualize that race execution. Yeah. What do you want to do? What are you trying to accomplish? What's your race plan? What are those controllables?
One of the best clips that we had from the first podcast that we did with each other was the stoplights, the green, yellow. Let's talk about that one really quick. 'Cause that's a really great tool for this age group.
Yeah,
I think.
9 and 10 is like you can start identifying like those really basic green light, yellow light, red light type of routines, or also like recognitions.
Yeah.
So it's like green light, I'm in the zone,
ready to rock.
I'm ready to go. I'm behind that block. I got my Superman pose, and I'm the hunter. Here we go. Like you're in green light. Yellow light's the kid that's behind the block that's, making himself a little bit smaller. They're thinking about the guy next to me. He's so much faster than me. He's not controlling that battle behind the block.
Yeah.
Red light is a kid that's probably crying behind the block.
Yeah.
At this age, and you can get kids to identify where they're at. But we have kids at 9 and 10. We'll talk about, hey, this is a good routine behind the block. This is a good routine or script that we have within the water. We want to get out fast. We want to make a move. We want to finish in hunt and kill. That's a very basic race execution. We teach that. And then we also teach the battle behind the block of Superman pose, utilize the breath, focus on your execution. And then the kids will come back after the race and they'll talk about that. So we'll say something like, how well did you execute your race? Or with a 9 and 10-year-old, we might be like, what do you think about your race execution? And they might say, I need to do this better and this better. Okay, what about your battle behind the blocks? How was that? And they'll be able to spit it back.
Oh, man. So like at this age, you're actually able to get them to reflect on almost all parts of their performance.
Yes.
Like the before, the during, and the after.
And them taking control.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The problem that we run into is coaches are speaking this language and parents are speaking this other language.
Yeah.
And that's where the confusion comes into place.
What suggestions do you have for parents as their kids are competing this age? Like the do's and don'ts.
Yeah. Well, I think at this age, especially 9 and 10, you have to be aware that your kid they will know whether they succeeded their goal or not. They know what's good, what is not. You do not need to tell them, oh, you didn't go a best time. Oh, you didn't win. You could have done this differently. You do not need to be coaching them, like at all. If you're coaching them through sport-specific tools, I think that you're going to go down a path that is going to lead to destruction. If you're coaching your kid in that car ride, you could have done this better. Why didn't you do this? What do you think about that?
Man.
This is when this really comes into play, and it's so recognizable with the kids that we see. The kids that are so strung out before a race, we know that parent is in their ear.
What are some things that parents like, sometimes they just need a one-liner that they can repeat like a parrot, right? Like, what are some one-liners before the race that a parent can say to the kid that's going to have a positive impact?
So I did an activity with my older kids,
okay,
but it translates to younger kids. And it was really, really for the parents, but I tricked them. So I had them write out 3 different note cards.
Yeah.
Before I race, I need from my coaches, and they wrote down 3 things.
Oh.
Before I race, from my parents, this is what I need. Before I race, from my teammates, this is what I need. And then it was after I race, this is what I need. After I race, this is what I need. Really what I was trying to do was get that parent note card, and then I was going to share it to the team.
Oh.
One of the very clear, identifiable things that was recognized by almost every athlete was before I race, do not talk to me about my race. And it seems so easy.
Don't say anything.
Don't say anything. Don't try to coach me.
Yeah.
Let me have some freedom.
Yeah.
Right? You give your kid freedom to just go out there and have some fun.
Yeah.
Great. 10 out of 10. And then after they race, one of the things that the kid said that was like, I need you. And these were 15, 18-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Get me a good meal. That was it. That was on every single card.
Yeah.
I don't need you to walk me through my race. I don't need you to tell me what I need to do better. I don't need you to talk to my coach. All I need you to do is tell me good job and get me a meal. It is that simple.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've been doing that I shared to our parents, which is really good, is kids would finish a race and I would say something of, what are you proud of? And it first of all, it puts the proud ownership in me.
Yeah.
But also as a parent, that's also, you can say that to your kid. Hey, I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
Or, hey, what are you proud of?
Yeah.
You did really well. That's great.
We actually pivot, like we try to have parents pivot saying, hey, I'm proud of you.
Yes.
To say you should be proud of yourself.
Yes.
Right? Because most kids, like, they know their parents are proud of them. Yeah. Right? But what you want your kid to develop is pride within themselves.
100%.
Proud that what they
ownership.
Did was good.
Take pride of what you're doing. And so that question of what are you proud of is the first question
for sure
that I ask. One of the greatest things a parent can say, I think, in our sport is, I love to watch you compete.
Yeah,
that is game changer. I love to watch you compete. You just go out there and you just let it rip. I love watching you compete. When someone hears that, it's like, you're not talking about how great they are. You're just like, I love watching you race.
Yeah.
It's so cool watching you put it on the line out there.
Yeah.
It's a great line that a parent could use that doesn't put pressure into performance on outcomes, results. At this age, if you can stay as far as you can away from times, outcomes, social comparisons, identification of how good you are.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to swim in college? No, absolutely not. And this is when it starts.
Yeah, man. I feel like at this age, you get some of those parents, man, probably even younger, just because it's parents, right? Where it's like, oh, you got your 10-year-old, they're gonna go swim at Minnesota or Madison or like whatever. XYZ is the best swimming school ever, and kids have challenges with that pressure.
Yep.
Right, like almost like like, oh, you want me to go swim in college? I'm gonna not swim anymore.
Yep.
How do you coach parents around that? Because you can't just be like, stop.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, and the other thing too is what we've led into is, you can try your absolute best on coaching parents. You can teach them all the things. You can send out surveys. You can send out newsletters like, hey, this is a scientific study proven that if you talk like this.
It's hard because people just get in patterns and, they're coaching from their parents from their last experience in athletics, not their experience when they were 10 years old in athletics. Right. Like they're coaching those parents that typically look, in my opinion, look at their kids to become college athletes in a sport when they're 10 years old, were also college athletes in that sport. Like they want their kid to do what they did, or they want their kid to get to the level in some sport that they did.
Yeah.
And it's so challenging. Like parents, like you need to not look at it like you're a senior in college in your last year and this is it. They're 10.
Yeah.
Many years ahead to even get them there.
Yeah. And we have two different type of parents in this group. Some of our best parents are the ones that succeeded at the highest levels.
Yep.
Like some of our best ones are those people because they're like, I know what's coming down the road. I know that this is going to get really hard.
Yeah.
And, this is my experience at 10. And if I would have gone through it again, I would have done it differently. We have those parents and they're the absolute best. So hands off. They let the coaches coach. They let their kids fail. It's 10 out of 10 great.
Yeah.
We also have the flip side of parents that succeeded at a high level that are gripping their kids as hard as they can because they definitely think about their experience and thought, this is how it's done, and this is how I was coached. Or differently, I think I should have gone coached like this. I do think that we also have another group of parents that don't know right from wrong at all, right? So you have this impact that at early on where you can set the standard of what we expect from parents. Like we talked about last time, you have a parent handbook.
Yeah.
We have a parent handbook. You have to have that.
We even we made a point of this. When we do our in-house tournament, Jeremo's there. He films it all the time, every time we do when he comes out. Before we start the tournament, we do a talk to the parents. We say, hey, parents, here's what we expect from you. Here's what your kids need from you.
Yep.
So we use that tournament. We have all the parents there, and I explain the rules. I explain the scoring. I walk through the format. I tell the kids where they're going to be. Then we get the parents to listen. Like, hey, this is what expected to you. cheer for the kid, give them positive vibes, say all those things that we just talked about. And then like, that's it. Leave the coaching to the coaches.
Right.
If your kid's crying on the side, we will take care of it.
Yeah. And it's like when I first started coaching, I would get very angry with like these parents that would interject. And I started more recently looking at it like every parent wants their kid to succeed.
For sure. They want their kid to be the best.
Right.
And they want their kid to have fun.
And everyone wants that. And it, this manipulative kind of grip holding behavior, though it's very bad, it is coming from a place where they deeply care. And if you can get, as a coach, you can flip that and say, all right, this parent cares. I have to express to them that we also really care. And we're just doing it a little bit differently. So when we don't go over to Johnny when he's crying because he lost, that doesn't mean that we don't care. We know that he needs to go through that to learn X so that when he's 13, 14 years old and there's pressure and expectation on the line, he can handle that. And that's how we're showing that we're caring. When you interject that, you lose this and that. I think I've switched that mentality and it's been more helpful for me when communicating with parents. Yeah.
What are some other good tools that we can use on this age group? We talked about the stoplight is a good one. I love the power pose one. That one is, amazing. I think, visualization can be good at this age. Not necessarily like visualizing yourself winning, but visualizing the past, right? Like having the kids start thinking about anchoring moments that they've had in the past. Like, tell me about a time that you were really confident or really proud of yourself. Cool. Think about that before your race.
Right. Yep.
Right.
So the tools that I think about within our program and is in everything that we're doing is progressions.
Yep.
Right. So when we're teaching an 8-year-old to power pose, it's like, show me your Superman pose. Right. And then they all stand like that. That's progressing down to when they're 18. It's like, let's see this. Let's see your power pose, man. Get behind that block, own it. Right. That's a progression. So it's like, the power posing is great. The yellow light, green light, our identification of where you're at is great. I think there's a great opportunity at this age to start kind of laying the seeds of breathing, learning how to properly breathe. So like we'll teach 9 and 10-year-olds how to box breathe and then also belly breathe.
We do the same thing. Like like I said, this age you can start, running your kids through some like body weight workouts and like burning them out a little bit, right? Like pushing them, making them winded, right? It's okay at this age. And oftentimes what we'll do is we'll do that. And then I'll have them like kneel down. I'm like, close your eyes. You guys know what to do. And then you hear just everyone go, and it's awesome. Like,
that's cool.
How much under control that they do.
Yeah. And you can utilize it for an anxiety tool or an emotional regulation tool or just a relaxation tool.
I'll do it in the middle of the match, which you can do in jiu-jitsu. Like swimming, you're like halfway across the pool, right?
It's like the pre-race
But jiu-jitsu, like it's right in front of me. A kid might be getting beat, smashed underneath the other person. They get mounted, which is like the worst spot. And they're defended and they're safe, but they're still in a really bad spot. I'll just be like, close your eyes and breathe.
Yeah.
Because they're like panicking, right? And they'll just be like, and I'll just be like, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Right. I don't say a technique to them. I tell them like, you know what to do. I'm not teaching you anything right now.
Yeah.
Like, show me what you know.
Yeah.
Like, you got it. You got the control.
Yeah. And it's great. Like teaching kids at that age, like those type of like breathing.
Yeah.
You'll see it when they're 16, 17, 18, where it's like, that's an automatic thing. We do.
But like it'll be automatic everywhere.
Yeah,
like
everywhere.
You're going to catch that kid before a test doing their little Superman pose on the way to the classroom.
Right.
Like that's the beautiful spot about it when you have a good professional coach that's teaching these things.
Yes. And, we start introducing into goal setting and like, how do we formulate goals at this age? The Whiteboard Wednesday does a great job of that. But like, what's a performance goal? What's a process goal?
I like that.
And like really basic, like give me your 2 process goals.
Yeah. I like learning goals as well.
Yes.
Especially jiu-jitsu because there's so many techniques. Like, hey, what's one technique that you think you could learn and get a little bit better at that would have served you today?
Right. One thing that impacted me tremendously as a coach, which would be interesting for you to go to, is I went to a a seminar for sports psychology.
Yeah.
And they had these tennis coaches talk about their tennis academy, which is based in Florida. And these kids are elite.
Yeah.
And they can identify very young, that kid's good. It's like golf, right?
I feel like I read a book on sport development and there was a tennis academy in it. I wonder if it was the same one.
So I had these coaches came to talk to us and they gave us some of their basic foundations.
Yeah.
One of the things that they talked about was their pre-practice and post-practice worksheets that they made every kid go through. And it started at like 9 and 10.
What are they?
And I can send it to you, but
yeah,
like some of them were very basic. They call them their ABCs, which is like, what's your goal today in practice? What's your ABCs today in practice? Have fun, learn something, right? That's for a 9 and 10-year-old, that would be a great ABC. Like, that's my goal today. And then they would go through like, what are your 3 process goals for today? Whatever they were, and they would list them out.
Yeah. Let's give an example of a process goal. Cause I think a lot of non-coaches won't necessarily understand what a process goal is.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's technical process goals.
Yep.
So like in the sport of swimming, like I think process goals there's a wide range of process goals, but like in the sport of swimming, we're talking about controllable, specific, positive oriented things. So that could be something like, I'm going to maintain 4 dolphin kicks off every wall. I'm going to emphasize acceleration in my turns. In jiu-jitsu, it can be a completely different type of but we're talking something that you can control, something that's specific. We're not talking about outcome-based goals. A lot of times with the athletes that I'm dealing with, they're formulating prior to practice outcome goals of, I want to maintain this pace.
Yep.
That's the outcome of you doing your process goals really well.
Yeah.
Acceleration in the wall.
I do a lot. Like, one big thing that I've worked with on my students is a lot of them tend to wait for the other person to go first.
Yeah.
Because in jiu-jitsu, there's a whistle that says go, but you don't attack the person right away. But you can.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people wait for that. So a lot of my times, my process goal ends up being like, be the first one to do something. Right? Or be the first person to get a grip or like something like that. Like that, I think those are really great process goals. And in my opinion, those lay the foundation to actually winning.
Right. Yeah. And I, back to that worksheet though, is what I gained from is like, imagine if you set up your program where 9 and 10-year-olds, 2 minutes before practice, they start off before they even get in the water, they go into their sport, they spend 30 seconds mindful breathing. And while they're breathing, right after that, they're thinking about, all right, what's the goal for day in practice? What would be like 2 things that you're trying to accomplish today? And then those 9 and 10-year-olds said something like, we're going to work on our turns or we're going to accelerate into our walls, whatever. 2 things. And they did it on their own. Mindful breathing, so whatever it's box breathing, belly breathing, 2 minutes about belly breathing, power posing.
Yeah.
Now spend a minute thinking about what you're trying to do before practice. And then they got in the water and they did their thing. And then at 11 and 12, they progress at, all right, we're going to spend a minute power posing, belly breathing. I want you to think about 2 things. And maybe the coach feeds it a little bit. But now it's a little bit higher level stuff. And then at 13, 14, we progress. And then by 15 and 18, they are doing it. They have their training journals. They're writing down their process goals. They're reflecting afterwards. It's like, if you could set up your program like that, would your kids be better? Yes, 100%.
For sure.
And that's a very hard thing to do. But if you put it into a practice scenario, like introducing mental performance tools within practice.
Yeah.
And I think that you can do that at 9 and 10.
Yeah. It's teaching so much more than the sport.
Yes.
And again, we talk about like professional programs, club programs. Are you guys at Schroeder Swim Club?
Yeah.
You're not much of a club. You're like a professional. When I think of club, I think of like youth soccer that me and you played, right? Growing up with like just all the other little city teams and stuff like that with the volunteer coaches and stuff. And I feel like you don't get a lot of that in those programs unless those parents also went through something like that.
I also
Most
think
people
that
didn't.
sometimes coaches sometimes are doing a disservice to athletes when they are like, it's outside their scope. They don't understand the harm. Like, I'll give you an example. We had a 8 and under coach, and this guy meant well.
Yeah.
And he really cared.
Yeah.
But he thought that it was a great idea to implement best time buttons. So if you win a best time, you get a button. And then the kids would put it on their bags.
Yeah.
Me thinking now, is that harmful or hurtful? 100% hurtful. Oh, when I go at best time, I get a button.
Yeah.
It's a great thing to think about, but long term, what are you developing? What's the value developing? Well, when I go best times, that means I had a good race. You can have a really good race, not go at best time.
Yeah.
You also can have a bad race and go at best time. So if you're valuing the outcome of this, every time you go at best, and I don't get a best button, even though I like really had a executional race, no, you don't get a best time button. So it's like this guy meant well, but unless you have this professionalism into thinking of coaching of like I'm developing athletes and outside of swimming.
Let the competition reward the outcome.
Yes.
Right? Like if you win the competition, you get a medal. Let them get that medal.
Yeah.
I think you as a coach and you as a parent need to reward the effort.
Yep.
The effort that came up into the competition and the effort that happened at it.
Right.
Man, I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways for parents is like just recognize the effort that they're putting in.
Yeah, and the kids nowadays, like there's so many external rewards. It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
they are already comparing to others. You don't need to further that.
Dude, we just talked about it in our pies, right? Socially, they compare themselves to their peers. Naturally. Man, what other competition things? We covered just so much right there for this age group. What other competition things do we have for them?
For us too, is like this is the age group that some of these kids, and I think we get introduced to national competitions.
Yeah, I think it's also because you start getting outliers at these ages that like end up being well beyond their peers.
Yeah.
When do you guys start? Like, is that this age
10.
group is nationals?
Nationals can get introduced at 10.
So we talked about when a kid should go from like an in-house to a local, right? Or even like a regional sort of a thing, right? And typically if they're starting at 5 or 6, that's when they're doing their in-houses. And by this age, they're doing the local stuff. Yeah. My personal opinion still is if they come in at this age group, they should do some in-house first and then local. But how do you progress them at that 10 years old to the national level? Yeah. And we don't have to get into like national athletic development, but they're at that stepping stone age where you're going to get a couple kids that are there.
Yeah. And then I think it's very critical for kids, no matter the age group, to get exposed to people that are better than them.
Yeah.
Like if you're winning all the time, that's really not good for you.
You don't get smarter being the smartest person in the room.
It's really not good for you. So I think there is value to, all right, go out there and raise some kids that are better than you.
Yeah.
There is a lot of value to that. But then there's the loot of like, well, I'm not at the national competition. That means I'm not good. Or, oh, they're at the national competition. They can swim at X school.
Yeah.
For example, Michael Phelps was not good, like really good, until he was like 14.
Is that when he grew to be super big and his hands the size of dinner plates?
Probably. But also like there was like he was playing a bunch of different sports and he enjoyed the water.
Dude, and as you should as a kid that age, like explore other activities.
Yes. And I think that many parents early at this age, 9 and 10, are starting to think about, all right, is this the sport that my kid is going to specialize in?
And it's only going to get worse because
it's going to get worse.
WIA just allowed like year-round contact with coaches for high school students. So it's like when we were growing up, you had students at varsity all 4 seasons in 4 different sports.
Yep.
You're going to see a lot more solo athletes at the high school level, which is going to drive solo athletes at the middle school and going to middle school level.
Yep. And, I do think that there's, especially in our sport where we're in a different ecosystem, you need time in the ecosystem, there's a time for specialization.
Yeah.
But at 10 years old, that's not the time. It's just not. And the more that you can keep your kid exposed to other activities, the greater chance they have for long-term development.
Remember when like cross training was like the big thing? Yeah. Like everyone should be cross training. Yeah. It was like 5 or 10 years ago. And now it's like everyone's just doing one.
Specialized.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got to get this trainer, nutritionist, and strength. It's like what we're trying to do at 9 and 10 is to continue the progress of growth of having fun. And we know there's going to be external things that are going to get thrown at the kid that are going to kind of limit that fun. So there's going to be standards. There's going to be a winner and loser. There's going to be social comparison. There's going to be bigger competitions. So we, as parents and as coaches, we don't need to further that. We need to like limit how much pressure we're putting into those.
Yeah, man. So we hit pies, athletic development, a lot of approaches and awesome tips for kids this age, right? That golden age of athletic development, like they're really starting to get it. They're starting to get their first like real competitions consistently at this age. Last episode, we did a good challenge for parents, right? Like what's a good challenge for parents that they should try to do over the next week with their kids in sports?
I think the challenge as a parent is to create at this age is to start creating more ownership with their kid.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to some practice because they want to.
Yeah.
You are not, you know, they get to decide. Start putting them more in the vehicle seat versus you. The more that you can do that, the more that you're setting them up for success, which is similar to like the 6 and 9 year old or 3, 4, 5, 6 year old. It's like, don't interject.
Yeah.
But you have to continue that. And now, and like, how do you create ownership within your kid in sport?
I love it. I'm going to give the one of just praising the process.
Yeah.
Like praise the effort that they're putting in. Don't necessarily praise the outcomes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying when they win, don't acknowledge it.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Like give them a high five, but give them a high five and be like, man, all that hard work you did paid off.
Exactly. So like you reward, you know, the reason why you won today
is you're better than everyone else.
Yeah. So you went out there and you've been working so hard and you went out there and you just went and attacked it.
Yeah.
And I love watching you go out there and just racing.
Yeah.
That's
it seems so obvious, but us as coaches, the amount of times that we see the contrary to that is often.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, anything else in this age group that we want to touch on before we wrap up?
No, I think it's a foundational age group.
Awesome.
Great.
If people are looking to work out with you, swim with you, do sports psychology, get some sports psychology help with you, what's the best way?
You can reach us at the Schroeder Swim Team or clewis at wsacltd.org or Championship Mind at Chandler at championshipmind.com.
The links will be in the bio description, whatever comes alongside a podcast.
It's a good one.
It's right next to the spot where you leave us a 5-star review. So please leave us a 5-star review on this podcast. Share it with your friends. But parents, like a big tip, you know, when you listen to this, share it with the other teammates, right? Try to get the parents on the same page. We talk about how important the team's culture is amongst the athletes. Develop a positive team culture amongst the parents too, where the parents are helping out the parents. Next episode, we're doing like 11 to 14. Interesting one.
Yeah.
You said that's when Michael Phelps started specializing, right?
Yeah, this is a big age group.
Man, puberty starts kicking in. They can start getting into strength training. We start getting some volatile confidence challenges. I'm excited for that one. So 11 to 14, and then we're going off to like 15 beyond, like that next level. A lot of times what's going to carry people to the end of their athletic career, most people, but hopefully finding a way that they can even continue past that. So thanks for joining.
Yeah.
It's always awesome having you on the podcast, Chandler, and excited for that next episode.
100%.